Hi, I'm Karen Von Oppen. I'm here at the Gaylord Area Council for the Arts, and I'm going to bring you a lesson on perspective. We're going to cover 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective. And before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to the people who have made this all possible for you guys. This is hosted by the Gaylord Area Council for the Arts, funding from Michigan Council for the Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts. So thank you to them for making this happen. During this crazy crisis we're in the middle of, we can't hold workshops here in person. So I have been giving workshops here for the past year, except not this year, but all last year, almost every month. I was doing different workshops on different things, drawing techniques, shading techniques. I did do a perspective class, which I'm going to repeat here for you. So there we go. Let's get started. Okay, so let's get started with some basic supplies you'll need for this. You should have gotten a list. I've got pencils. I have a variety of pencils here. I've got them all sharpened, so I don't have to stop and do that. I like to work with 2B and 3B pencils when I'm sketching because they're dark enough to show up, but not too dark as long as you don't press into the paper that you can't still erase it, because we're going to be doing some erasing. Which brings me to our eraser. I've got two different kinds. Excuse me. This is a kneaded eraser, and this one actually happens to be from Hobby Lobby. And if you're not familiar with these are literally kneaded erasers. You just pull them apart to clean them and soften them up, and they work great. And you can shape them, if you need to get into a tiny little area. So these are awesome. This is one of those polymer erasers from Pentel, the white eraser. And it's important to keep your erasers clean, of course. So I like to use a piece of sandpaper. This is fine grit. I'm sure medium grit is fine too. So literally just clean it off by pressing it in there and scraping all the dirty, yucky stuff off. Okay. You need a ruler. This is a clear ruler. Really comes in handy for so many different things, especially something like this. A clear ruler was not on your list specifically, but if you happen to be able to get out and get one of these come from hobby stores. I think I probably got this at Joann Fabric or something. So it's 18 inches long, it's 2 inches wide, and you can see through it so that you can actually get really accurate measurements and parallel lines. It's good for that. Paper. This is just really, really cheap paper that I got at the dollar store. This is a scribble pad, and it's really probably just like one step up, if even that, from newsprint. And it was $1, and it's 60 sheets. So, waste it to reckless abandon. Sketch away, don't worry about your paper. If you are going to be doing a real drawing, then of course you're going to want good paper. So that is an idea for just some quick, cheap sketching paper. And what else? This was not on your list, but I keep a brush handy because it's always nice to be able to brush things off rather than wiping them off with your hand, because you have oils on your hand. And if you're working with something like charcoal, which really tends to smear, and you need to get in there and get rid of a line or something, it's nice to brush this away. It's nice to brush the little eraser babies off of there. So that is mostly it. Quick little instruction on pencils. They come in sets. You can buy them in sets. You can buy them individually. This one, again, came from Hobby Lobby. They come in a range. They come in a range anywhere from, I've seen them from 6H or even 8H up to 9B, I think, is the darkest that I've seen. And H just basically means hard. B for black or bold. In other words, your B's will be the darkest and the softest, and the H's will be your lightest. The only thing, now this is really more if you're going to do a very intensely shaded, detailed pencil drawing. Not necessary for what we're doing here, but a bit of information. Okay, you can also buy a whole set, which includes your pencil sharpener, which you will also want to keep handy here. So let's start with 1-point perspective. Oh, also, you should have been able to download a sketch, very, very simple sketch of 1-point perspective, which we will use in an exercise a little bit later on. So I'm going to show you some examples of 1-point perspective. This is your classic railroad photograph. Everybody's probably seen these. Everybody's done them. Going off in the distance, very dramatic. Everything converges to 1 point off in the distance. The trees, the tracks, probably can't see them, but there are even telephone poles going off. And that point right in the middle is called the vanishing point. And this line going across is the horizon line. And we'll get into that more. Okay, this is also 1-point perspective, just a slightly different view. Everything still goes off into the distance, meeting at 1 point, all of these lines converging. And it just to show you that, 1-point perspective doesn't have to be in the middle. You can get a completely different look to your picture by putting things off to the side a little bit and giving you a different view of the same thing. Okay, so this is an example of 1-point perspective where you have a view, excuse me, where you are up a little bit, you are looking down on this ledge, this brick wall. Same location, looking a little bit up. So in this case, everything is converging to 1 point here, and everything here is converging a little bit further back. Okay, so I've drawn the lines in. You can see that everything converges to that vanishing point right there, which means that your horizon line is going to be right there. And then this one is where the vanishing point is here. So where you are standing, how high you are, how low you are, will determine where that vanishing point is going to need to be. This is also 1-point perspective. And this is obviously looking up, way up, and those lines are all converging right about there. Very interesting, very dramatic, pretty cool stuff. Okay, 2-point perspective. A little bit different. You're looking at the corner, and you've got the sides of this trailer going off into the distance. Everything going back into space looks smaller as it goes back. So both of these sides will probably converge right about there and there. 3-point perspective starts to get really interesting. Okay, this is an aerial view. You've got your lines going, you've got 3 vanishing points in this one. You've got one that comes way down here. You've got one that goes out this way, and you've got one that goes out, taking these corners out this way. And we're going to review all this, so just some quick examples. This one, they call this the worm's eye view, which I think is really hilarious and cute. So you're a worm, you're on the ground, you're looking up, and everything is converging to a point up here. and then you've got your lines going out this way as well. Okay, so that's some examples. So let's draw some one-point perspective boxes. And if you're going to draw along with me, this is basically simple. If you want to find the center of your page, it's easy just to fold it in half. We're going to draw across. And I will try to draw it dark enough for you guys to see. That's our horizon line. Let's pick a point somewhere in the center, roughly. Okay, so let's say you are on the beach, you're looking out at the ocean. The horizon line is right in the middle. This is ocean, this is sky, and you're looking right in the center. So let's draw a box in the center, just so you can see what that looks like. All right, this is going to be a 2-inch box. And this is where the clear ruler really comes in handy. Okay, you're looking straight on this box, but it's above the horizon line, so you're kind of looking up at it a little bit. So you're going to take the corners and you're going to draw a line. A little bit off. And then you're going to pick how deep you want your box to be. Let's say it's not too deep. Okay, now, here's where the magic happens. You erase your guidelines. And you've got a box that looks like it's floating in space, but you're looking up at it. Easy peasy. All right, let's draw the box off to the side. Let's go. Yeah, let's go here. Okay, this one is not going to be square, it's going to be rectangular. You can do whatever you want. But how you construct it is the same. So again, corner to vanishing point, corner to vanishing point. Okay, now you're creating the bottom. Now you also see some of the side because you are in the center and your box is not. So let's create that side. Now you get to choose how long you want your box to be. Let's make this one a little longer. Okay, just parallel lines to your horizon, to your box edges, going across, going up from that same corner. Erase your guidelines. You've got a box coming at you flying in space. Okay. Now, if you are looking down, and let's make this one 3 inches. Okay. Again, take all 3 corners. Trace them up to your vanishing point. Okay. Decide where you want that box to end. Straight across, keeping it parallel. And then straight down from that corner. Again, keeping it parallel. Okay, now before we erase these guidelines, we're going to do something a little more detailed with this. We're going to turn it into a glass cube. So we're going to take this corner, we're going to bring that back. Now this is where you have to kind of pay attention. You've got this corner and you've got this corner, because now you need to make the back of the box, and these are going to be our key corners to pay attention to. So keeping everything, once again, keeping it parallel. Bring it to your guideline. And then take this corner, bring that down to your guideline. And you've got your glass cube. We are now going to erase our guidelines. Kind of hard to get in there with that other line in the way. So now you can see how you can see through this box. You can see through the front to the back. And we'll darken this up a little bit so you can see it better. If you do them right, they do come out perfect. It's just a little bit off. These also make great optical illusions, because if you squint, you can actually see this as the front and this as the back, but we won't get into that. So hopefully you've got a good handle on what one point perspective is, and how it works, and how to create it, and how to make things look like they're really going back in space. So that said, let's grab our sample drawing of the room. And this is an exercise that you can do yourself to find where that vanishing point is in this room. So if you take all these lines and bring them back, they will all meet at one point. Okay, that includes the floor, the rug, and I hope you're doing this with me to give you, kind of cement this into your brain. Even this little table, you can even see the lines are kind of coming through there. Okay, the ceiling, the window, the painting, even, and this is something you have to pay attention to if you're going to do something like this, even the legs. Okay, right here, the bottom of that leg on the side is going to go right up to that point, as is this one, and that one, the side of the table. The floor, everything. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding of 1 point perspective, because once you get this, then 2 point will make a lot more sense, and even 3 point. Okay, so let's do some 2 point let's do a city block. Okay, so we we can be in the middle, but let's, for the sake of this exercise, let's put our horizon line a little closer to the bottom. Maybe 2/3 of the way down. You know what? Let's turn our paper. So we've got more room for our vanishing points. Okay, so that's our horizon line. And since we don't have a lot of space here, I'm going to put my vanishing points way off to the very edges. Okay, can you see those? Now let's, for the sake of the exercise, let's just start pretty much in the middle. This paper is about 12 inches. So we will put the corner of our building in the center of our field of vision, and that's where we're going to start. Now, the first building, let's not make it too tall, because we're going to put some tall buildings in the back. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you want to do. I'm going to make this 4 inches. Now make it 3 inches. Okay. Once again, corner to vanishing point. Corner to vanishing point. Choose how deep you want your building to be. Let's make it symmetrical. Okay, I'm going to darken up my lines so you guys can see them better. I'm making this 1.5 inches on each side. So our building is 3 inches tall, 1.5 inches wide. That's up from the horizon line. I'm going to make it 1 inch down from the horizon line. And again, corner to corner. Whoops. Bring this down. Okay, should have done this first. So this is our building. Our first building on the corner. Let's give it some interest. We're going to put some doorways and windows in here. So I'm going to keep the lines dark on my building and light out to the vanishing point, because those are going to eventually be erased anyway. Okay, but you can see what I'm doing, right? Everything goes out to the vanishing point. So let's put a couple of windows in. Now, this is interesting how you find the center. Make an X corner to corner, and your center is going to be right there. Now, you will notice that this distance is bigger than this distance. And again, that's because it's gone back in space. So using this as the center, let's put our windows in. And space. Keep everything parallel to your vertical lines. Okay, a couple of windows. Let's put a door on this side. Excuse me. Again, let's find our center. Okay, center is there. There'll be double doors. Okay, now remember that this side of the door is going to be a little bit less wide, narrower than that one. And that's just to make it look more realistic. If you make it the same size, it's going to look off, it's going to feel off, it's going to be off. Let's put some handles in there. Okay. Trying to get fancy. Okay, let's try that again. You can show the inside of those windows. So I'll draw them real quick. Okay, so now I have a little bit of 3-dimension going on. We can, oh, you know what? Let's put an awning on there. Again, make sure everything goes back to your vanishing point, even if it's just something so small and simple as a detail like an awning. Now, let's put some rows of windows. Again, we're going to find our middle, our center. This is why a clear ruler comes in so handy. I can see the lines through it, so I know I'm being perfectly parallel. Okay, so if we've got 3 rows of 3 windows, we know that this is going to be our center, our very center window. So let's just draw a guideline. Okay, our center window is going to go in here. Just pick a random size, but whatever size you make it, make sure it's going back to the vanishing point. Okay, now we know that this side of the window is going to be less than that, and that is 1/8 of an inch, so we'll make it just a little bit less. Okay, looking accurate. That's probably going to be too big, actually, if we're going to put 3 rows in there. Let's make that a little smaller. Making it up as I go along. Okay. So our next row of windows, again, guideline. guideline. Now these windows on this side, let's do this one here. Okay, I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing these. If this was a real drawing, I'd be doing a lot of measuring and making them a lot more accurate. But I don't want to take too long doing these. So this is how you get everything going back in space and looking like it's going back in space. So we have more space here than we do here. So our window on this side is going to be wider than this. This window is going to be narrower. Oops. What did I just do? I'm keeping my lines in here so you guys can see them, but I'm getting myself confused. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start erasing some of these lines. Alright, I'm just going to freehand these in. I just want to darken them up so you can see them. It'll look much better if you do it with a ruler, but you get the general idea. Okay, and then you can, put your window frames in, your window panes if you want. Just make sure everything goes back to that point. Okay, so let's put a building. Well, you know what? Before we do that, let's put a sidewalk in. And how about a curb? Okay, I am going to clean all this up. So we have our first building in there. Let's get those up a little bit. Okay, so let's move on to another building. Let's say the corner of this building, and again, keeping everything parallel. Here's our old line. All corners. Go back to the vanishing points. Alright, so let's determine where the edge of that building is. Let's say it's here. And how deep is that building? How far down the street does this building go? Let's say it goes to there. Let's put a fancy top on this building. That's nicer. Okay, how about some windows in this building? Let's make this an office building. These windows will be wider. Okay, and you just do the same thing with windows here. You can put a door in there using all the same method of using your vantage point as your guideline. How about something on this side? Another building corner. Building here. Let's make a tall building here, so we'll bring this. Okay, and then you can continue on with your buildings on the other side. But you get the idea of how to do the doors and the windows. How do you get it to look like it's going back in space? I can put some bushes in here. This is the street. So really, once you get it, it's easy. It's just a lot of ruler work. Now, All right, so let's move on to some 3-point perspective. We've got our aerial view, our bird's eye view of our building here, our office building. So let's just use this as a reference and we will recreate it. So our horizon line is very close to the top. And our vanishing points are very close to the sides, the edges, I should say. Now this is not straight on. We've got one long side and one shorter side. So we're a little bit off center. Let's put our third vanishing point about there. Okay, let's find our corner. Now our corner here is at an angle, but let's straighten that out. Let's make it going straight down instead of angled a little bit, just to make it a little different here. Okay, so let's find our corner, and let's decide how tall we want our building to be. Let's make it 4 inches. Let's make it 3 inches, so we have enough room. Okay, so this is our corner, this corner right here. Let's get our guidelines in. Corner to vanishing point, corner to vanishing point. Let's determine how wide we want our building to be. And let's make this side shorter. Okay. Let's work on the top and then we'll work on the bottom. We have another corner here, out to our vanishing point. This corner, out to our vanishing point. To cut these lines for you. Okay, now here's our bottom vanishing point. This is where things are going down into the distance. So once again, same thing. Corner to vanishing point. We know this corner goes to the vanishing point because we made it that way. And this corner, vanishing point. Now here's the corner that we started with for the bottom of the building when we determined the height. So bring that up. Same corner to the other side. That's it. That's all there is to it. Erase your lines. Now you've got this office building you're looking down on. Now when you put the windows in, same principle as the 2-point. However, you've got one more vanishing point that you have to pay attention to. Now these windows are going to be skewed in one more direction. So in order for you to be able to see this, I'm going to make just one giant window just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay. Starting from this corner, going across, establishing the top of our window. Let's establish the bottom of our window. From this corner to this point, Now we're going to go parallel to this line at an angle. Actually, I'm sorry, not parallel. It's got to go to the vanishing point. Excuse me. Okay. And then this one as well. So now you have it going down into space, following the same angle as the building. So that's 3-point. How about a 3-point from a worm's eye view? Let's go back to our pier. Okay. So once again, follow your lines out. Top line. We've got all these bricks that are all going to follow that same trajectory to your vanishing point over here. And the same on this side. You've got the bottom going out to there. We've got the top coming down to here. And there's your vanishing point. Vanishing point to vanishing point is going to be your horizon line. And in the case of these bricks, you're going to notice that those bricks are pretty straight across. Whereas all the other bricks are at an angle, going back in space, and meeting up with that vanishing point. So if we want to duplicate something like that, let's start with the horizon line low. A couple of vanishing points. Oh, you know what I didn't do here? I didn't give you guys the top line. Following the bottom up and the bottom up here. So your vanishing point is up there. And all these little bricks at the top are going to do the same thing. They're going to follow the trajectory up to the vanishing point. All these bricks on the side, down to here, just like these are out to there. So let's create, let's see, we'll put our vanishing point up here. Now looking up at this, because you're looking up and things are going off in the distance and getting smaller, you're going to notice that this is at an angle. So let's recreate the angle. And that's going to be the corner closest to us. Okay, so now we have one corner at the bottom. Bring that out. That same corner to make the other edge comes out. Now we have formed another corner. It's the edge of what's going to be this side, the bottom corner of. Let's bring that up. How wide do we want to make this? We'll make it a little little asymmetrical. We'll bring this up. Now we have kind of a pyramid. And let's make it fairly tall. Let's not make it a pyramid. Let's give it a top. Now we have another corner. Down to the vanishing point. And there you have a very skewed looking building. You're standing at a strange angle to this and really looking up. You could also do one straight up. Okay, bottom corner. Bottom corner. This is our vanishing point up there. And let's just choose where our top is going to be. Vanishing point over here. We're using the same vanishing points as with the last drawing. Something that you're looking a little more straight on the corner of, so that's going straight up. This one you're kind of off to the side, and that's why it's at an angle like that. So that's it. That's 3 point. Looking up, 3 point looking down, and then you've got your two-point cityscape. Your 1 point boxes and cubes. So I hope that helped. Thank you for joining me on this, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.